The World Cup is football's greatest stage, but not all World Cups are created equal. Today I'm ranking the last 5 World Cup tournaments using 5 categories: vibes and cultural impact, quality of goals, drama, scandals and unforgettable moments, the quality of players and legends on display, and finally, the quality of the final match itself. Each category can earn up to 10 points, meaning the maximum score possible is 50. Let's start with number 6, the 2018 World Cup in Russia. This World Cup has an interesting reputation. Nobody really hates it, but very few people rank it as their favourite. It was a very good tournament that simply lacked that one defining ingredient that makes a World Cup truly immortal. Starting with vibes and culture, Russia massively exceeded expectations. Fans from every corner of the world flooded Russian cities and created a vibrant atmosphere. The official World Cup song was not as memorable as other tournaments. Hands up for your colours. So for vibes and culture, I'm giving 2018 a 7 out of 10. Now let's talk about goals, and this tournament had some absolute gems. Benjamin Pavard's volley against Argentina remains one of the greatest World Cup goals ever scored. Ronaldo's free kick against Spain. Toni Kroos scored a memorable free kick versus Sweden. Ricardo Quaresma curled in a trademark trivela against Iran. Denis Cheryshev scored some screamers. Luka Modric produced a masterpiece against Argentina. And there were many more goals. I'll give this category an 8 out of 10. For drama and unforgettable moments though, 2018 falls behind the others. This was the first World Cup to introduce VAR, which had its own drama. The defending champions Germany crashed out in the group stage and Neymar rolled around on the floor multiple times. Beyond that, there weren't many truly iconic scandals. 5 out of 10. For player quality, the tournament arrived during a transition period. Messi and Ronaldo were still present, but both crashed out in the round of 16. Neymar's Brazil went out in the quarter-finals. There were players who actually delivered. Modric played the football of his life, which earned him the 2018 Ballon d'Or. Hazard was sensational. Mbappé exploded onto the world stage. But compared to 2006, 2010, or 2014, there were simply fewer all-time legends operating at their absolute peak. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. The final itself was excellent. France versus Croatia delivered 6 goals, plenty of drama. A World Cup final rarely produces that much entertainment. 8 out of 10. Giving 2018 a total score of 35 points out of 50. A great World Cup, just not quite legendary. It's number 5. The 2014 World Cup in Brazil. And if football has a spiritual home, it's Brazil. And from the moment this tournament began, it felt special. The beaches, the colours, the music, the official World Cup song. Everything about this World Cup screamed football. For vibes and culture, this is one of the strongest tournaments ever. 10 out of 10. Then we get to the goals, and honestly, this might be the greatest goal-scoring World Cup of the modern era. James Rodriguez scored arguably the best goal of the tournament against Uruguay. Robin van Persie scored that iconic flying header. And in the same game, Arjen Robben tormented the defending champions Spain. Tim Cahill scored one of the greatest volleys ever seen. Messi produced magic throughout the group stages. David Luiz launched a ridiculous free kick against Colombia. Every week seemed to deliver another masterpiece. This gets a 9 out of 10. Now for drama and unforgettable moments, Luis Suárez a bit Giorgio Chiellini. One of the weirdest moments in football history. He later claimed he lost his balance and stumbled into Chiellini's shoulder with his mouth open. In another crazy moment, a young Neymar got a broken vertebra from Juan Zuniga's cynical knee in the quarter-final. He was ruled out of the tournament. Even Spain, the defending champions, crashed out of this World Cup in the group stages. But none of those stories compared to what happened in the semi-finals. Germany 7, Brazil 1. The most shocking result in World Cup history. A nation traumatized in real time.
Brazil are being humiliated, humbled and taken apart, and their supporters simply cannot believe what they have seen.
For controversy and drama, 8 out of 10. The quality of players was absurd. There was Messi, Neymar, Robben, Thomas Müller, Lahm, Manuel Neuer, Suárez, James Rodriguez, Cristiano Ronaldo, Kroos, Di Maria, and even Miroslav Klose, who broke R9's all-time World Cup scoring record. This was a ridiculous collection of talent. 8 out of 10. The only thing holding 2014 back is the final. Germany versus Argentina was tense. It was tactical. It was competitive. But it wasn't exactly thrilling. Without Mario Götze's iconic winner, many people would barely remember the match. 5 out of 10, and that gives 2014. 40 points out of 50, an outstanding tournament. In 4th place, I have the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. You will never again see a World Cup like South Africa. The moment Sifiwe Shabalala scored the opening goal against Mexico, football history was made.
It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala. Goal! Bafana, Bafana! Goal for South Africa! Goal for all Africa!
And suddenly the entire world understood that this World Cup was different. The first World Cup ever held in Africa. The iconic Waka Waka anthem. The colours, the celebrations, the energy, 10 out of 10 for vibes and culture. The standard criticism of 2010 is that the football was cautious and the goals were scarce. And there's truth to that. The Jabulani ball behaved unpredictably.
Keepers have all been complaining about the ball. The centre forwards have been complaining about the ball. Everybody's complaining about the ball.
Very good, very true to hit.
It's an $200 beach ball.
No problem for the goalkeeper.
This ball encouraged the player to go for more extreme shots.
Goals per game were lower than any recent World Cup. Many knockout games were tight and tense rather than free-flowing, but there were a few bangers. Van Bronckhorst's rocket, Forlan's screamers, Chabalala's opener, Maicon's impossible finish. Some incredible goals, but overall a lower scoring tournament. 7 out of 10. The drama, scandals and unforgettable moments category, however, was loaded. Though it may seem iconic now, the vuvuzela at the time caused a lot of uproar, with many complaining about the annoying buzzing sound that took over that World Cup. A huge scandal involved France completely imploding. Nicolas Anelka insulted the manager and got sent home. Players boycotted training. The squad descended into chaos.
France's World Cup goes from bad to worse, with mutiny spreading through the squad.
To mark their opposition to the highest level of French football, all players have decided not to participate in training.
One of the greatest sporting meltdowns ever witnessed, and it happened live on TV for all of us to watch. Then there was Lampard's ghost goal against Germany that forced FIFA to introduce goal line technology.
Here we go. Oh, it's so far in.
Was it FIFA don't want? Technology. Thanks very much, Sepp Blatter. Well, I hope he's here, and I hope he's squirming in his seat, by the way. Look at that. He knew he was in. We knew it was in.
Next was the worst tackle in a World Cup final that went unpunished. Nigel de Jong's karate kick on Xabi Alonso only earned him a yellow card. And then, of course, the most controversial moment of this World Cup. Luis Suárez versus Ghana. It was the quarter-final, extra time, dying seconds, a header destined for the net. And Suárez punched it off the line. Red card, penalty, and Asamoah Gyan, carrying the hopes of an entire continent on his shoulders, could have made Ghana the first ever African team to reach the World Cup semi-final. He struck the crossbar. Suárez celebrated on the touchline while an entire continent watched in disbelief. Whether it was heroic or criminal is a debate that has never died and never will. Ghana then went on to lose on penalties, 10 out of 10 for drama. The player quality was fantastic. Spain at the absolute peak of their powers. Xavi and Iniesta ran games with authority that had never been seen before in international football. David Villa scored 5 goals across the tournament. The Netherlands had Arjen Robben and prime Wesley Sneijder. Germany had the foundations of the team that would win it all in 2014. A young Thomas Müller, Ozil, Khedira, guided by Joachim Löw, and finishing 3rd. Diego Maradona managed Argentina, which in itself was one of the most compelling subplots of the whole competition. And of course, player of the tournament Diego Forlan seemed to be the only one who understood how to hit the Jabulani ball. 8 out of 10. What about the final? Not exactly beautiful. The Dutch came in as genuine underdogs who had played some brilliant football to get there, and then they decided the way to beat Spain was to kick the shit out of them. 14 yellow cards, tension everywhere. That karate kick mentioned earlier. It was brutal and criminal football designed to deny the neutrals a spectacle, and it mostly worked. Then Iniesta delivers one of the most iconic goals in football history, 6 out of 10. That gives the 2010 World Cup a tournament total of 41 points. In third place is the newest World Cup on this list, and it wasted no time making history and making enemies. Let's start off with the vibes. Early group games had empty seats and an atmosphere that didn't feel like a World Cup, but then Mexico's supporters turned the Azteca into a wall of sound, a genuine fortress, and the travelling fan bases Argentina, Morocco, Norway delivered atmospheres that matched anything from past tournaments. It found its soul. It just took a week to get there. 8 out of 10. The goals were fantastic. Sidney Lopez Cabral's stunner for Cape Verde against Argentina in the round of 32. Jude Bellingham against France in the third place match. Mbappé against Senegal. Messi against Algeria. Haaland sliding a finish past 3 Brazilian defenders and Alisson to knock Brazil out. And Wilson Isidore's rocket through traffic. Haiti's first World Cup goal in 52 years. 9 out of 10. The drama, controversial and unforgettable moments. Where do we even start? Before a ball was kicked, ticket prices hit 5 times Qatar levels, and so high that the Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey opened formal investigations into FIFA. Hydration breaks were seen as another money grab scheme from FIFA. The World Cup final halftime show caused a lot of uproar. The White House personally lobbied Infantino to overturn Balogun's red card suspension.
Except the US president wasn't prepared to move on and placed a call to FIFA's president.
Yeah, I did. I spoke to Johnny.
Why? Because he didn't like the red card.
That wasn't even an infraction. Yes, I asked for a review.
Belgium challenged his eligibility hours before kickoff, but FIFA rejected Belgium's appeal, and the USA lost 4-1 anyway, and Belgian players did Donald Trump's dance, Cape Verde's fairy tale. The tournament debutantes were arguably its best story. Kevin Pina's 35-yard free kick and a 2-2 draw sent them into the knockout stage, and they even pushed Argentina to extra time in a round of 32 classic, Paraguay knocking out the 4-time champions on penalties, one of the greatest shocks in World Cup history. A few hours later, Morocco beat the Netherlands on penalties after an added time equaliser. Haaland toppled Brazil. He finished his first World Cup with 7 goals and led Norway to the quarterfinals. England ending Mexico's tournament at the Azteca, and then we have Argentina. The whole world turned on them. The aggressive fouling, the pushing of every boundary, the sense that referees officiated them differently, the dislikable players. The 3-2 comeback against Egypt drew accusations of outside influence from Egyptian players themselves. 10 out of 10 for drama and controversial moments. The players and legends on display. The top players were incredible. 39-year-old Messi showed us he's still the best player in the world, signing off his final tournament with 8 goals and 4 assists. Kylian Mbappé, Mr. World Cup himself, taking the Golden Boot with 10 goals and becoming the tournament's all-time leading scorer on 22. And the others delivered: Haaland, Bellingham, Kane, Dembele, Olise, Vinicius. Nearly every big name showed up. 10 out of 10 for the player quality. The final, arguably the worst World Cup final in living memory, sold as South American champions versus European champions, Yamal versus Messi, the future versus the past. What we got was a defence versus attack slog where only Spain came to play football and Argentina came for a brawl. A disallowed goal, Enzo's brainless second yellow, a full-time melee and red card. The lasting images were chaos, not football. 5 out of 10, and that brings 2026's total to 42 out of 50. In second place is the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Let's start off with the vibes. The atmosphere in Qatar was unique and vibrant. For the first time ever, the World Cup was played in winter. Fans could attend multiple matches in a single day. The compact nature of Qatar created a different kind of experience, and the official World Cup song, Oh man, it's already nostalgic. 10 out of 10 for this category. The goals were fantastic. Qatar 2022 has the record for most goals scored in a World Cup tournament at 171 goals, meaning it was action-packed from start to finish. Aldasari's banger versus Argentina shocked the world. Richarlison's bicycle kick, Abubakar's scoop, Neymar's masterpiece against Croatia, Messi's important goal versus Mexico, countless late winners, and of course, Mbappe's goal versus Argentina. 8 out of 10 for the quality of goals. In terms of drama and unforgettable moments, there were several. The Ronaldo benching saga. Belgium's golden generation had a massive internal fallout. Mbappe laughed at Harry Kane's penalty miss. We saw impressive wins for Japan against both Germany and Spain. Saudi Arabia shocked eventual winners Argentina in the group stages. The World Cup favourites Brazil unexpectedly crashed out to an ageing Croatia side in the quarterfinals. And who can forget the amazing run Morocco had in Qatar, eliminating Ronaldo's Portugal, giving us one of the most iconic shots of the tournament on their way to becoming the first ever African nation to reach the World Cup semi-final. And then the most scandalous match of the tournament, the Argentina-Netherlands quarter-final match. It descended into chaos, 18 yellow cards, post-match confrontations, Messi's famous tunnel exchange. Dutch manager Luis van Gaal later accused FIFA of fixing the tournament in Argentina's favour, a claim he made publicly without hesitation and has never retracted. 9 out of 10 for drama and unforgettable moments. The player quality was not up to the level as other tournaments. Two extraordinary names in Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappé, and then a significant drop-off. Ronaldo, Neymar, and several of the game's elite names failed to leave their mark. For all its brilliance at the very top, this tournament was narrower in superstar quality than the ones that preceded it. 6 out of 10 for this category. And then we arrive at the final. The greatest World Cup final ever played. Not a statement made lightly, but the evidence is overwhelming. Argentina versus France, Messi versus Mbappe, 2 goals, then a comeback, then 3 each, then chaos, then penalties, then history. Many fans consider it the greatest football match ever played. It simply doesn't get better than that. 10 out of 10. This gives Qatar 2022 a total score of 43 points out of 50, a classic. Now then, at the top, we have the 2006 World Cup in Germany. This is the one. The last World Cup before social media dominated football. The last World Cup that truly feels like pure nostalgia. And in almost every category, it delivers. Germany created one of the greatest atmospheres a World Cup has ever seen. Every city felt alive. Football completely took over the country. The only criticism of Germany 06 is the official World Cup song. It's not as memorable as the other ones. 9 out of 10 for the vibes and cultural impact. The goals, Maxi Rodriguez against Mexico, Joe Cole against Sweden, Cambiaso's legendary team goal against Serbia, Philip Lahm and Torstens of 10. The players, this might be the greatest collection of football legends ever assembled. Zidane, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká, Pirlo, Cannavaro, Thierry Henry, Totti, Figo, Beckham, Ballack, young Messi, young Cristiano Ronaldo, England's entire golden generation, a younger version of the Spanish team that would go on to dominate football for the next decade. It's absurd. 10 out of 10. And the final itself? A Zidane Panenka, Materazzi equaliser, extra time, penalties, the world champions decided in a shootout. It is pure drama from start to finish. 9 out of 10. Now for the last category, the controversy and drama is unmatched. Portugal versus Netherlands became known as the Battle of Nuremberg. 16 yellow cards, 4 red cards. Absolute madness. In another scandalous moment, Italy arrived at the 2006 World Cup under the shadow of the Calciopoli match fixing scandal, several of their clubs facing relegation back home while their players were winning the World Cup abroad. Wayne Rooney stamped on Carvalho in the England-Portugal quarter-final, with his own Manchester United teammate Cristiano Ronaldo appearing to wink at the bench after the red card was shown. The fallout from that moment played out for months, but the 2006 World Cup is synonymous with one man and one man only. He was having the tournament of his life, on course for the Ballon d'Or and cementing his legacy as one of the greatest players ever. At 34 years old, Zidane arrived at his final tournament with the weight of an entire nation on his shoulders. And he dragged France to the World Cup final, dismantling Spain, conquering Portugal, and then delivering a footballing masterclass against Brazil's golden generation. It's a team packed with superstars, and Zidane made them look ordinary. It was one of the greatest individual performances the World Cup has ever seen. The script had already been written. France reached the final. Zidane is playing the final match of his career. He scores a Panenka penalty on the biggest stage in football. He's moments away from completing one of the greatest farewell stories in sporting history, and then everything changes. In the 110th minute of the World Cup final, with the entire world watching, Zidane turns around and drives his head straight into Marco Materazzi's chest. Red card, game over, career over, just like that. Football has never produced a more shocking ending to a legend's story. One moment he's on the verge of lifting the World Cup. The next, he's walking alone down the tunnel for the final time, never to play professional football again. And then came the image, that image of the greatest footballer of his era walking past the trophy he had given everything to win. Unable to look at it is one of the single most haunting and compelling images in the history of the World Cup. For drama, controversy and unforgettable moments, this tournament gets a 10 out of 10, giving the 2006 World Cup a total score of 47 points. And for me, the greatest World Cup tournament in recent history. So that's my ranking. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments.